Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. This is another episode in the deck walkthrough series that I've been doing. I hope you've been watching my previous videos and I hope you're enjoying them. I hope you're getting a lot of insight and fresh new ideas on how to read the tarot and getting to see exactly what's out there. So today I'm going to be doing the Lover's Path Tarot, and I'll put the deck in the description box, and I'll put in links to Amazon and eBay. So if you click on the links, you can get to those sites to buy the deck if you like it. Now this is an excellent time to be buying decks, so I highly recommend that you go onto these sites and have a look at the decks. This is the time that they usually cut the prices off the decks, and this is going on special as well. And it's a nice time to actually collect decks that you would have paid full price for. So an excellent time to actually go in there. This is the time that I usually try and collect decks that I have had my eye on for a while. So please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me some comments as to whether or not you are enjoying this series. I'm enjoying doing it, and so I hope you're enjoying watching it. So let's get through this deck. It's the Lover's Path Tarot. It comes in this nice little box. It's very nicely packaged, very neatly packaged as well, and it's going to protect your cards pretty well. So it's got a sleeve. It's a red box. A kind of a sort of a blood red box, if you like, and it's got this picture on it, and it gives you some information in the back about the cards themselves. So this deck itself is not a traditional Rider-Waite deck. It deviates from it, you need to actually be reading that little white book in order to get some insight on how to read the cards themselves. So something very different, and it's going to require a little bit of effort on your part to actually get to know the cards. But I'm sure you're up to that. So it's a 78 card deck, and it comes with a spreadsheet and, as I said, that little white book. The box itself, as I said, very, very nicely done, very protective of the cards. So the sleeve slips off, and within it is this spreadsheet. Let's just look at the spreadsheet. So it's the spreadsheet, then within that is the box, and the deck of cards sits in its own box, and the box itself for the deck is very, very nice and sturdy, very beautifully done. So we'll look at the cards just now, and the spreadsheet itself is you can lay it out. So it is a nice little spreadsheet. It's got all these different card layouts on it. Let's just lay this out. So you can lay it out on your work table wherever you're doing your readings, and then it just gives you something to follow. So it's got 5 spreads on it. It's got the dueling path, the relationship cross, the burning question, the past, present, and future, and it's got the Lover's Path tarot at the bottom. And it's got these little boxes, and that tells you exactly what the cards are and in their positions and their meanings, what their meanings would be in that particular position. So a beautiful little spreadsheet that you can just lay out on your work surface and actually use. It's got a kind of a glossy finish to it, and it's got this parchment-like background coloring, and that looks really, really nice and elegant, very traditional. So the cards themselves come in this box, like I said, so a box within a box. It's got the picture of Grace at the back, and the traditional picture here coming in. And you can see it sits very nicely within that box. Very, very nice sturdy box. And then it's got the little white book that comes with it, which is a 36-page book. And then you've got the 78 cards here, but 2 extra cards. So the first, these are the 2 extra printout cards. Usually cards get printed out in 80 cards, and 78 cards get printed as the tarot. And then you get 2 extra cards that give you a little bit of information about the actual author of the deck itself, and a little bit about US Games who do the deck itself. So we'll look at the cards just now. And then you've got this Lover's Path book, which is a very important little handbook. So it's not your traditional, run-of-the-mill printed for all Little White Books. It's a very, very important book, and it is the key to actually reading this particular tarot deck. So you will have to study this particular book. Now, it's a very thin book. So, you can put it in your purse, you can, put it in your pocket. You can read it on the train, on the bus, in the toilet, anywhere that you'd like. It's an easy book to carry about. It's not going to weigh you down. And mine has got a lot of dog ears. There's a little bit of coffee spilt on the back as well, because I was reading it quite extensively. So it comes with a little introduction here in the front, and then it discusses the major arcana, the minor arcana, and it does some spreads at the back of the book itself. Now, what is interesting about this particular deck is that the major arcana deviates, I would think, quite a bit from the traditional Rider-Waite system. It's labeled differently, all the major arcana are labeled differently from the traditional Rider-Waite. And the suits themselves, which is the cups, and you've got arrows as being the swords, you've got staves as being the wands, and you've got coins as being pentacles. They're all based on a little a storyline about a couple. So each particular deck has, each particular suit has been denoted a couple. So for the suit of cups, you've got Tristan and Isolde, and for the staves, you've got Sigfrid and Brunhild, and you've got Cupid and Psyche for the arrows suit, and you've got Danae and Zeus for the coins suit. Now, going through the major arcana, each card has got a different title on it. So for the Fool, they've labeled it as Innocence, and she gives you the traditional card name as well. So you've got the traditional card over here. It tells you who the lovers are. It gives you keywords about the card, but it also gives you a little story, so that when you look at the card, you have to read the storyline to understand exactly what's going on with that particular card. And it's not too far away from the Rider-Waite system, but it gives you an extra layer. So if you know what the traditional Rider-Waite meanings was for the Fool, then you read this little story, and it adds an extra layer and makes your interpretation of the card much more interesting than just, you rattling off a new beginning for the Fool. It's just something very, very different, and it gives you a lot more insight when you're reading the actual meanings of the cards when the cards fall. So you can see it's got a lot of layers, and it will, it'll add a nice depth to your reading as well. So it tells you about the major arcana, like I said, and it goes through each and every single one of it, and each one has got their little storyline in it. So it is very, very important, especially the major arcana. It's important to read these little stories. I've even underlined things within it just because they were different from the traditional Rider-Waite meanings. And even the minor arcana, it follows a story. So it will follow the story of Cupid and Psyche for the suit of arrows, and it follows whatever they did. So each meaning of each card has got a different episode in their life story, and you can go through it and read it as a little storyline, so that you don't forget what the meanings of the cards are, but it also adds that extra depth of meaning to the actual card itself. And then in the end, she's got down a two card spreads here, which is the Lover's Path, telling you exactly what is going on, and within that particular spread itself, and she's got the relationship cross. So there are two relationship spreads at the end. Now, like I said, it's a very important book, and you will find yourself referring to it quite extensively, I think. Even though it's so thin, it is actually something that is very, very important. It is the key to reading this particular deck. And so don't lose the book, whatever you do. Excuse me. So the cards themselves, beautiful cardstock. They are bigger than the normal size cards. You can see they're slightly bigger in the palm, and the cardstock is really, really good. It's in keeping with the elegance of the deck itself. It's got a it's not very shiny. It's sort of kind of matte finish with this red back. The backing is red with a nice little border, 2 crowns, and the heart with wings, and they are reversible, if you can see. So if you read reverse meanings, this deck caters for that. And then you've got your cards, which are divided into your major and minor arcana. They've got some beautiful pictures in it. The front of the card has got almost a double border, almost like a window that you can look into. It's like you're looking in through a window at these people's lives. So it's got the names of the lovers that each card is dealing with. It's got a label at the bottom. You've got innocence over here, and it's numbered at the bottom as well. So the minor arcana the major arcana are labeled in this Roman numerals, and the minor arcana has got 3 of cups, so it's actually written down over there as to the numbers of the cards, so there's no doubt as to what that number of that card is. So let's go through the cards themselves. So let's start off with the major arcana. Right. Now, you will have to read that little white book in order to understand exactly what's going on. So this is the Fool card, and you've got Tamino and Pamina, and this is the couple that you're dealing with the Fool. So you will have to read as to what that little story is there. And then you've got Magic, Merlin, and Vivian, and that is the Magician card. So you can see it's labeled slightly differently. And then you've got Wisdom, which is Shahrazad and Shahrivar, and this would be your High Priestess card. It's got some traditional elements of the Rider-Waite, but basically the story is different. Then you've got Cleopatra and Caesar, which is Fertility, which would be the Empress card. Arthur and Guinevere, which would be the Emperor card, and it's labeled as Power. Then you've got Tradition, which is the Hierophant, Romeo and Juliet. Osiris, which is the Lovers card, Osiris and Isis, and that is their story. Then you've got Desire, which is the Chariot card, and you can see there's no chariot at all in this card, but it's labeled as Desire, and this is Tristan and Isolde. Then you've got Brunhilde and Siegfried, which is the Strength card. Now the stories are really nice. Some of them are really sad, and some of them have got a lot of happiness in it. So it follows the exact archetypes, that life is based on. So beautifully done. Abelard and Eloise for Contemplation, and this would be the Hermit card. And then you've got the Wheel of Fortune, Danae and Zeus, which is labeled as Fortune. Then Justice, Penelope and Odysseus, and this is traditionally Justice. Then you've got Sacrifice, which is usually the Hanged Man, and it's Orpheus and Eurydice. That was a sad story. And then Persephone and Pluto, forgive my pronunciations, and Transformation, which would be your Death card. And then Venus and Vulcan, Balance, which would be Temperance. Paolo and Francesca, Temptation, and this is the Devil card, and it hasn't got any devils in it. And then you've got Dido and Aeneas, and this is Oppression, and this is the Tower card, so it's very different. The story also behind this Tower card is different from the traditional Tower card. Then you've got Dante and Beatrice as Grace. And then you've got Illusion, which is the Moon, and that's Ivan and Odette, and this is based on the Swan Lake story, if you know that particular storyline. So this is Ivan and Odette. And Cupid and Psyche as Awakening, and this would be the Sun card. So it looks very different from the Sun that you usually get. And this is the picture that's on the deck itself, on the box itself. Then you've got Tannhauser and Elizabeth for Judgment. And Triumph, Dionysus and Ariander, and this is the World card, really. So they look very different from the traditional Rider-Waite, and the stories behind them are also very, very different. But if you use your Rider-Waite symbology as well as link it up with the storylines behind each lover's cards, it gives you such a vast amount of information, and it makes the reading very, very interesting. So this is the Minor Arcana. And you've got the Ace of Cups. And like I said, every single suit for the Minor Arcanas is following a storyline as well. So you need to look up what that storyline is, and that's how you learn about the cards. But you can also use your traditional meanings for the Minor Arcana I found as well. So you've got, this is the Ace of Cups. Then the Two of Cups. The Three of Cups. Your Four of Cups, Five of Cups, Six of Cups, Seven of Cups. Now it's got that traditional look about it, so it's not going to be too much of a push to just look at the meanings. It looks like it's very much based on these traditional meanings, but with just a little added layer on it. So Seven of Cups, Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups, Ten of Cups, and then the Princess of Cups. So it doesn't have the page, it's got the Princess, and the Prince of Cups as being the Knight, the Queen of Cups, and the King of Cups. So it is giving you who that particular person is that you're dealing with. So mark within that particular thing would be the page, the King of Cups. Then you've got the Ace of Staves, which is the Ace of Rods, the Two of Staves, the Three of Staves, the Four of Staves, the Five of Staves, the Six of Staves, the Seven of Staves, the Eight of Staves, the Nine of Staves, and the 10 of Staves. And the pictures are really beautifully painted. Then the Princess of Staves, which is Brunhilde, the Prince of Staves, Siegfried, the Queen of Staves, this is Fricka, and Wharton is the King of Staves. So there is, that extra name over there gives you an extra meaning as to who this person is and what they did, and you'll understand the personality behind the card. So this is the Ace of Arrows, which would be traditionally in the Swords suit. The Two of Arrows, the Three of Arrows, the Four of Arrows, the Five of Arrows, the Six of Arrows, the Seven of Arrows, the Eight of Arrows, the Nine of Arrows, and the 10 of Arrows. Then you've got the Princess, which is Psyche, the Prince, which is Cupid, and then you've got the Queen of Arrows, which is Venus, and the King of Arrows, which is Adonis. And then finally, the Coins suit, which is Pentacles. So this is the Ace of Coins, the Two of Coins, the Three of Coins, the Four of Coins, the Five of Coins, the Six of Coins, the Seven of Coins, the Eight of Coins, the Nine of Coins, the 10 of Coins, the Princess Danae of Coins, the Prince of Coins is Perseus, the Queen of Coins, Hera, and the King of Coins. So, like I said, it does follow, there are some elements of the Rider-Waite system within it. The pictures are really beautiful, and they tell you a lot. They give you a lot of information within each one. But it is like, you can use your traditional meanings, but also with this extra information or extra storyline behind it, it gives you such a beautiful, wholesome interpretation of the card, and you can understand why things are happening the way they are. So I found that you can use it for both. You can use it for a lover spread, for your relationship spreads, but it also reads really well for general spreads. So I like it for those two kinds of spreads. I really wouldn't use it for a work spread personally, because for me, I look for certain elements within the work spreads, but this one is really good for, any kind of relationship interaction. So a general kind of spread as well as a love spread is excellent for you to use it. And with the love spreads, using these different kinds of spreads, the relationship cross, if you've got a burning question as well, this is, a really good deck to use with it. So this is a deck that's going to require a little bit of effort on your part to actually learn it off or use the deck. I don't think it's a really, personally, from my point of view, a deck that you can just pick up and read it like that. You have to do a little bit of reading, and this little white book is absolutely essential. So make sure you don't lose this book. You will refer back to it quite often, I would think, or you would refer to it for that storylines, for those little storylines. And once you get that storyline going on, understand the stories behind it, then reading the deck becomes a piece of cake, really. And understanding who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with is very, very important. It's got some really good background. The backgrounds are really good. Surrounding the characters itself. So you can get a lot of information on it as to what's going on within the situation, what's going on around you, around the person that you're reading for. So a really, really good deck to actually have, and something very different from the Rider-Waite, which I'm sure you must be bored with right now. So it gives you a nice little deviation from it, but not too far. And also very interesting, because now you're getting in touch with literature or people from the past, all these traditional stories, and it adds a nice little depth to your insights. It gives you a good insight, because it's all about the learning. It's a good learning process as well, and understanding that whatever situation you're going through might not be something that's brand new. It's been happening for centuries. So you can understand how they sorted problems out by reading their stories, or what happened with them and what was the outcome. Everything is not about fairy tales. It doesn't have a fairy tale ending to it, and these stories show you that things can go wrong or things can go really well, and it's just how you interpret the situation you are in helps you deal with it. And reading through these little storylines tells you that this is how they dealt with it, and this is how you can possibly, gives you an idea on how to deal with situations. So like I said, I highly recommend that you buy this deck, especially now that it's having a good cut down in price. I love a good bargain. And this, you can get them, the price has definitely been slashed from when I bought it. So definitely go onto the sites and look at it. So I hope you enjoy using this particular deck. And I hope it gives you a lot more insight into your readings, and adds, a different layer. Gives you a bit more maturity when you're reading the tarot. So it doesn't become, the traditional, just rattling off the traditional meanings. You start reading the cards now, as opposed to just, learning it off by heart and then just rattling it off to anybody who comes. And, that changes the flavor of a reading. Changes it from being just bog standard to being really, really interesting and something that people want to hear. And, something that you will learn and grow from as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this deck walkthrough, and please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave me some comments, watch those previous deck reviews that I've done, and also just an extra note, don't forget to watch your yearly spreads as well. Keep up with those, because they do the monthly reads. It gives you a little idea about what's going on through the month, so you can actually refer to those right through the year, just to get an idea about what's coming up for the month. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope to do another deck review for you quite soon. Take care now. Goodbye.